Hello and happy Thursday to each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Engineer Your Energy. I'm your host and owner of Milton Coaching Collective, Caroline Milton. At Milton Coaching Collective, we help individuals and organizations beat burnout and truly become preventative when it comes to burnout so that we can enjoy work and really get the most out of our work. Experience that career fulfillment without the sacrifice of the fulfillment of all other areas of our life and well-being. Each and every Thursday, I go live to talk about how you can engineer your energy, whether again, that's in your own life or perhaps in the workplace. How can you be more productive? How can you experience more fulfillment? How can you generate a higher sense of health and well being? So today we are continuing in our talk about sleep. Over the past couple of weeks, we have been discussing the importance of sleep. And today I'm addressing a specific question that I'm asked and I often work on with clients, which is, what do I do when I can't get enough sleep, right? I work with a lot of women who have young kids, maybe infants, and their sleep patterns are constantly being interrupted by that of their newcomers. But it's not only in the case of new parents that we experience that inability to get the proper amount and duration of sleep that we're eager for, or that we know that we should be getting, right? Maybe you've got a new pet, maybe something's changed in your workload and you're up later at night, you're not getting the sleep that you need to be getting. Maybe you're dealing with a chronic condition or a situation in which you're having a really hard time with falling asleep or with staying asleep. So it's not uncommon for us to experience that lack of sleep. And I first want to say I empathize with you as a mother of a 2.5-year-old. I've certainly experienced my fair share of improper sleep over the past couple of years, but also I've experienced that in my corporate life. When I worked as an engineering manager for food and beverage manufacturers, I was often up at all hours of the night, fielding phone calls, text messages, WhatsApp conversations because of line failures, parts that were missing that needed to be tracked down. And so my sleep was often interrupted. And as a result, my health and my body certainly suffered. Now, sleep is incredibly important, not only for your health, but also for your productivity. Because of the phases of sleep, and in particular, your deep sleep and your rapid eye movement sleep, these are really critical for you to be able to perform your best in whatever your professional capacity is, whether that's as an engineer or whether that's as an athlete. You need to be spending ample amounts of time in stage 3 deep sleep and also in that REM sleep. That's going to help with your ability to focus, your ability to recall important information, your ability to really perform. So, your sleep is of highest importance. That's where your body spends time recovering from injury, illness, and strain of the day. That's where regrowth happens. We regenerate on a daily basis. That's where your hormones are all balanced, right? And hormones serve so many important functions as they serve as messengers throughout our day. They're carrying out all those important functions of our body. And your hormones need that sleep time in order to properly function. So, what do we do when we can't get the 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep that's needed for us to perform our best? So, I like to use this sports analogy. I come from a sports background, I love sports. So I like to talk about benching your star player, right? So sleep is our star player of our health and well-being. It really is the quarterback of our team. But sometimes that quarterback, that star of our team, is injured, right? And so we've got to put them on the bench, and they can't play. They're taken out of the game. So when sleep is taken out of the game, we need to have a deep bench of replacements and other skilled contributors, such that our level of play, our level of performance does not suffer, right? So I'm in Kansas City, and you know the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs is Patrick Mahomes. So what happens when Pat Mahomes is taken out of the game? Well, you just don't see other players like Patrick Mahomes. But if you have enough strength in your O line, you have enough strength in your defense, you have a suitable backup quarterback, you can still put together the win. And that's what we're going to focus on doing. So when your quantity of sleep is impacted and it suffers, what do you need to do? You need to focus on your quality of sleep as a result. And then you need to also focus on how you're spending time with your parasympathetic branch of the nervous system activated throughout your day. So let's take a quick step back here. You have two branches of your nervous system. Your sympathetic branch, that's your stress response, and your parasympathetic branch is your rest and digest response. You spend the most time with that parasympathetic branch activated while you're asleep. So, if we're not getting enough time spent with that activated at night while we're sleeping, we have to be more intentional about spending time during our day with that response in activation. So we have to be super intentional about our stress throughout the day. Otherwise, that stress mounts and mounts and mounts until it overwhelms us and we reach that state of burnout. Burnout occurs when our body cannot modulate back and forth between those two branches of the nervous system. And so as a result, we get stuck in our stress activation. So let's talk about how we support the quality of our sleep when quantity is not possible, and how we activate that parasympathetic branch throughout the day. So, number one, my first suggestion is understand the impact of light. If you haven't watched our episodes from the past 2 weeks, make sure you go back and you watch those two episodes, because I talk about the different types of light. We have blue light, we have violet light, we have green light, we have red light, yellow light. We have all of these different types of light across the spectrum of light, and our eyes interpret each of them differently. So when we're intaking blue light late in the day, that's going to impact the quality of sleep that we get. It's going to delay our ability to fall asleep. So blue light is prominent in our devices. I'm looking at my computer screen. I have 3 computer screens in front of me right now. I've got 2 phones around me. I've got a tablet in the other room. I've got a TV in the other room. We're surrounded by devices all the time. So make sure that we're really mindful about how and when we intake blue light. It's phenomenal at the beginning of your day, but we shouldn't be subjecting ourselves to harsh overhead blue light towards the end of our day. We should be wearing blue light blocking technology. We should be mimicking that low light mood at the end of our day. That's going to help promote sleep. That's going to help our body regulate its release of cortisol, which is released in blue light. And so understand the impact of light. Make sure that you are getting blue light exposure specifically from the sun as early in the day as possible, and that you're minimizing blue light after dark, after the sun goes down. So if the sun sets at 5:30, you need to start understanding that it's time to block that blue light. So understand the impact of light. Know what you need to do throughout the day, morning, noon, and night, so that your mind, your eyes, your body are prepping for sleep. So that's number one. Number two, place more of an emphasis on your diet. When your sleep is lacking, you need to hone in on the diet. And I come from a place of empathy and understanding and compassion here, but stress and sugar, they love to be friends, but they are really frenemies. Okay. So when we're experiencing with a high stress load, we don't have enough time spending in sleep. We have to be really mindful about our diet and our intake. We should be focusing more on fruits and vegetables at that time, healthy fats. We want to be minimizing our omega-6 fatty acids, omega-6 fatty oils. Those are going to increase inflammation in our body. Inflammation in our body comes from sugar, and it comes from omega-6 fatty acids. So we need to minimize these when we are in this phase of life, because what happens when our inflammation in our body increases and we're not spending enough time in that parasympathetic activation, then our body can't regulate that inflammation. It can't come in, and our immune system can't perform optimally in order to do its job. So I know you'll hear all kinds of information about what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat, but as a general rule, we should be very intentional about our sugar intake and our omega-6 fatty acid intake. So our inflammatory intake when our sleep is lacking, because this is going to cause issues with our hormones, our immune system. It's going to increase our body's perception of stress. So that's step number two. Step number three, minimize your imbibing. So keep alcohol to a minimum. Alcohol does all kinds of tricks to your sleep. And you might think that you need that glass of wine or that after work beer in order to calm down and prepare for sleep. But I promise you, alcohol is impacting your body's ability to move through those phases of sleep. In fact, spending less time than your body needs in that REM sleep, that rapid eye movement sleep, where memory consolidation and stress tolerance builds. So you need to keep alcohol intake to a minimum. I know this seems kind of contradictory because when you're in that season of stress, you just need to unwind, but find other ways of unwinding. Try a mocktail instead of a cocktail, something with alcohol in it, because alcohol stays in your body for up to 25 hours, which means that no matter when you intake it today, it will impact your quality of sleep tonight. Step number 4, practice non-sleep deep rest. So this is an NSDR protocol. You can also practice meditation and other forms of mindfulness, but these practices help initiate that parasympathetic branch, that rest and digest branch of your nervous system that will help your body balance and fight that stress response. So NSDR is about a 20-minute practice. You can YouTube it, you can Google it, you can search Dr. Huberman, you can look at the Made For app. These lead you through an activity of non-sleep deep rest. They are a mindfulness practice and they help initiate that relaxation response. Last weekend, I was doing a CrossFit competition, huge wear and tear and strain on my body. I was pretty exhausted by the middle of the day. And so I put on my eye mask, I put on my headphones, and I did 20 minutes of NSDR. And it really helped with increasing my ability to perform throughout the rest of the day. Helps with memory, helps with focus. So it's really a valuable tool in practice. If you haven't heard of it, go and look it up, practice it. It can be a game changer for you. My final suggestion when sleep quantity is lacking is to use light movement to boost your energy rather than reaching for that cup of coffee, which does not give you any energy. Use some use some light movement to boost your energy. Go for a walk, play a little bit with a pet or a small child, get up and do some stretching or a couple of just squats at your desk. These things help the body initiate the energy sequence. They're going to be more helpful, more impactful for your energy levels and your productivity than that cup of coffee will be, or that afternoon soda will be. Use lightweight movement. I'm not talking about going out and doing a HIIT exercise or running a 5K, just lightweight. Walking can be one of the best things to do to help boost your afternoon slump, your energy levels, because that caffeine, when we intake it too late in the day, will impact our quality of sleep that night and therefore set us up for disaster. And just as a reminder, all caffeine does is comes in and blocks our adenosine receptors. Adenosine is what registers tiredness in the body. So again, caffeine does not give you energy. It just blocks your brain's ability to register tiredness. So if you need energy, that comes from movement, but particularly that comes from good, clean sources of food that help our body metabolize that energy. That's it for today and this week's episode of Engineer Your Energy. Once again, I'm Caroline Milton. If you're curious or interested to learn more about individual and organizational services that we offer through coaching and consulting, please visit miltoncc.com. You can learn more about my story, about our mission, our vision, how we help organizations prevent burnout and retain top talent, and how we help individuals regain that sense of joy and fulfillment through life. Thanks for tuning in this week, and we'll see you next week. Until then, be well.